Hey there, my wedding planning friends, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I'm Emily Summer. I'm a wedding planner based in Montana, and I make weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice. Today's video hits home for me, as I'm sure it does for many of you watching this, and we're going to talk all about wedding planning when you are indecisive or have an indecisive personality. Wedding planning in itself can feel a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot of decisions to be made, and once that kind of initial excitement and being able to just sit in your engagement, once that kind of subsides and the actual wedding planning starts, it can start to feel very overwhelming. And this is only exacerbated if you are somebody that has difficulty making decisions. And the goal is for that to not totally affect your enjoyment of the overall wedding planning process. So here are some tips to help you, guide you along wedding planning if you are an indecisive person. So before booking anything or making any sort of big decisions in any direction, sit down with your partner and write out or talk through your priorities. So talk through what your top priorities are, as well as what your partner views their top priorities are for your wedding. See where they align, see where they differ, and be able to come up with overall your top 3 or 4 priorities for your wedding day as a whole. So for example, maybe you would like to have a destination wedding and you want this to be a great experience for your friends and family. Maybe you're not going to have a huge wedding and you just want the people that are going to be there to have this really incredible experience in whatever location this is going to be. And maybe for your partner, their priority is they want to have a really fun dance floor, they want to have a really fun party. So all the parts that are going to play into each of those priorities are where you're going to focus your decision making and kind of your brain power onto what is going to help you achieve those priorities for your wedding. Number 2, you want to hone in on and define your vision. So again, do this before making any decisions, especially if you are somebody that is rather indecisive. You might be changing your mind throughout the planning process. And if you are starting the planning with one color palette, one floral palette in your brain, and you start that out really early and start making decisions really early with that vision, and then you kind of get through the process and your mind changes or you're seeing inspiration elsewhere, that can get very overwhelming if you are getting really indecisive and wanting to change your mind, because that means changing a lot of other decisions that have already been made. So allow yourself a little bit of time before making any sort of decisions when it comes to aesthetics, vision, and give yourself the opportunity to maybe change your mind a little bit down the road. So explore different avenues, create a Pinterest board, go through inspiration and see where common themes are, and then let it sit for a couple weeks and then do it again and see if your opinion changes. There is so much inspiration out there. There is so much content that you are able to consume, especially when it comes to weddings and wedding inspiration, and that alone can be overwhelming. So another big tip here is once you do kind of define what your vision is and the direction you want to go, try and stop consuming that inspiration. Stop looking at Pinterest for those specific ideas. Stop scrolling the wedding inspiration accounts you're following on Instagram. Do yourself a favor and just limit the opportunity for you to change your mind. So give yourself a little bit of time to be able to go back and forth before making any decisions and kind of explore different avenues you want to go down before fully making your decision and committing to a specific vision. Number 3, create a budget and stick to it. This goes for anybody planning a wedding, and not just if you are somebody that is indecisive. However, if you are, this will likely help you along the planning process, as well as if you have a specific budget you are sticking to and have it categorized. When it comes to making decisions within each of those categories, this budget might be a deciding factor for whatever you're debating between. So maybe you have 2 vendors in the DJ category that you are not sure which one to go with, and maybe one is priced a little bit lower than the other one and you're trying to stick within budget. That might be the deciding factor for how to move forward with that vendor, and that makes your decision for you. Number 4, give yourself a realistic timeline for planning. So on average, most couples will spend like 9 to 16, 18 months as an engaged couple from the time they get engaged until their wedding date. So this is pretty standard. I've been seeing a lot more couples with a longer engagement, more like 1.5 to 2 years. That is on the longer end, and I recommend, if you are someone that is indecisive, don't give yourself too long, but you also don't want to be rushing yourself. being able to give yourself the opportunity to think through those decisions and not feel really overwhelmed or pressured to make those decisions. So the sweet spot for you will probably be like 12 to 14 months of an engagement period. That way it gives you some time to make decisions, but also not too long for you to be changing your mind a lot during the process. Number 5, do not over research. Depending on where you are located or where you plan to get married, there is probably a ton of options for wedding vendors. The wedding industry is massive. It has grown like crazy over the last decade, and there's always going to be more options. So when it comes to researching your venue, your vendors, your photographers, anybody that is participating in your wedding, you could do research for days, for weeks, for months, and that's probably just going to make things more difficult for you if you're having difficulty making decisions. So in your initial research process, if you're finding 2 to 3 vendors in each category that you are liking and that are within your budget, stop looking. There is no need to have every possible option available to you and have all of that research done. The whole point is to find a vendor that you connect with, find a vendor that you like their work, you like what they produce, they have good reviews, and they're within your budget. Once you've found that and you found a couple options for that, do yourself a favor and just stop looking, because you can research forever and it's just going to make things a lot more difficult for you in the decision-making process. Number 6, delegate. Allow yourself to delegate, especially with your partner, but if there's other people in your life that are wanting to help, perhaps that's parents, siblings, maid of honor, best man, whoever that is, allow yourself to lean on them and help them make decisions with you, or give their input to help make decisions if that's something that's going to help you. If their input is going to make things more stressful for you, ignore that advice. But if you are somebody that is getting overwhelmed by the decision making and feel like you don't want all that pressure on you, allow other people to assist in the decision making, especially your partner. So make sure that you are talking through these things. Delegate maybe what their responsibilities are versus what your responsibilities are, so that all the decision making doesn't have to fall on you and have that overwhelmed feeling of you have to decide everything. Split up and decide in the beginning of what you kind of want to tackle on your own and what decisions are going to be your responsibility and what's going to be theirs. Number 7, go with your gut. Like I mentioned before, there's so much content and inspiration out there, and as you're going through the planning process, if there are certain things that speak to you that you really like, that you have on your to-do list, or things that you want to have at your wedding, and then you're seeing content that maybe contradicts that, or something else that seems to be really popular, or something that you've seen a lot of your friends do that is different than what you originally had in your mind, try not to let that outside pressure or expectations feed into your decision making too much. Go with your gut and go with what instinctually feels good for you and right for your wedding day. I think a huge reason why people have difficulty making decisions is they're allowing too many outside factors playing a role in the decision making. So the decision itself may not be that hard, but you're thinking about the outcome of each decision and how that affects everyone involved, and that's where things can get really difficult in the decision making process. So if you're only focusing on what you and your partner want and trying not to allow too many outside factors play a role into that decision making. Obviously, you probably want to take your guests into consideration for certain things, but you shouldn't be basing all of your decisions on your guests or on certain family members, because that is when the pressure is really going to add up on your decision making. Number 8, be able to communicate what you don't like. So if you're having trouble figuring out what it is you do like, if you've gone back and forth on color palettes, if you've gone back and forth on flowers, or maybe even a venue, and you're not able to distinguish what you really like or how to determine which one you like the best, sometimes it's helpful to switch your mindset a little bit and think about what it is that you don't like or what you don't want. I do this during wedding dress shopping appointments. So for those of you that may not know, I do also own a wedding dress store here in Missoula as well. And when I'm in bridal appointments with brides that are indecisive, a lot of times I will have brides come in, they've never tried on dresses, they have no idea what they want, and they don't really know how to even articulate what it is that they want because they don't know yet. So sometimes what I'll do is kind of flip it a little bit and ask them, okay, what do you not like? What do you not want for your wedding dress? And they seem to have a much easier time being able to communicate what it is they don't want, and we can use that information to find the direction of what they actually do want. So the same can go for different aspects of your wedding planning as well. If you're not sure what it is that you do want, maybe communicating and bouncing ideas off of your partner on what you guys don't want for your wedding might help you choose a direction to go for what it is that you do want. Number 9, make your decision-making and planning throughout wedding planning personal. So if you're having difficulty making decisions, think about how they will affect you and your wedding day and what that means to you guys as a couple. So for example, if you're unsure of the venue that you want to have your wedding at and there's just too many outside pressures, you're too many factors going into each venue, and things that are small, maybe little petty aspects, like one venue is 10 miles closer to the hotel that all of your guests are staying at, but the other venue has really nice views. Whatever it is you're trying to make your decision on, try and think of it from a very personal standpoint. So go and view these venues in person. It is likely that only one of them is really going to give you the feeling that you want and be able to have you really envision your wedding day when you're there in person. So allow decisions to be made from a personal standpoint and how it makes you feel. And number 10, I'm sure you all saw this coming, hire a wedding planner. So I'm not just saying this because I am one, but if you are an indecisive person, having somebody that you can really lean on in addition to your partner, because maybe your partner is just as indecisive as you are, having somebody that you can lean on and bounce ideas off of that can give you guidance and decision making also takes a lot of that pressure off of you. And whether this is somebody that you are hiring to make decisions for you, because you can do that, you can literally tell a wedding planner what you want and just let them make the decisions for you and eliminate all of that pressure, or if it's just somebody that's going to be a guiding hand for you that can give their input and kind of help make the decisions for you so that it doesn't feel like that's all falling on you, but you still have the final say and you still have that decision-making power. That is what they're there for, and they're kind of an objective opinion, and they will make decisions based on what they have seen to work, the vendors that they know are good to work with at that particular venue, and be able to give perspective from that side of things from a non-emotional standpoint with no connection to the decisions that you're making for your wedding day as far as like emotions go. So having somebody that is a professional, essentially a professional decision maker, can be very beneficial for you in your planning process. I know that wedding planning can be overwhelming in general, and if you are somebody that is indecisive or has trouble making decisions, a chance that this could be even more overwhelming for you. So hopefully these tips will help eliminate that overwhelm for you at least a little bit. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to get weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice, and we'll see you next week.